Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here and you're stopping right here for the first time, I'm Nurse Kemzi, a student nurse, and in today's video I'm going to be telling you guys how I managed to memorize everything I'm being taught in my medical school. I know some of you are already having doubts, like some of you know that is almost impossible to be able to memorize like 100%, but of course I don't know 100%, but on a scale of 0 to 100 I'm going to score myself a 70, and you attest to the fact that if I can have a 70, like if I can remember 70% of what I'm being taught, then that is already a pass mark. So in this video I'm going to be sharing my tips, the things I do that make me remember all these things that I'm being taught, and I know if you apply them it is actually going to work for you as much as it is working for me. And if you're not in the medical field, you can also apply these tips because it works for everybody in as much or so long as you can do it effectively. Get a good study routine, and under my good study routine I subdivided it into another two. I have find a study spot and get a schedule. What do I mean by find a study spot? If you want to study on your bed, like if you want to study sitting on your bed, in less than no time your bed is actually going to call you by dragging you to want to sleep, and you would eventually give in. You might end up studying for, if you had wanted to study for like 3 hours, because you're on your bed you might end up studying for like 30 minutes or 1 hour latest, and the rest of the 2 hours you're going to find yourself sleeping. If you want to study in the four walls of your room, especially if you don't have a reading table, it might be very difficult for you. So the very first thing you want to do is to make sure you have a good reading spot. It might be in your room, it depends on what your choice is. So you might just have a little spot in your room where you have your table and your chair where you can just sit and read. Actually I have mine is just around the corner, my small table and my chair where I just read. But most times, because of the noise that I might be experiencing in this hostel, because sometimes I might want to read, I might be on my table and my chair, but my roommates are not, maybe they don't want to read, it's their own time to rest, so they might be distracting me with some little noise. That is when you see that maybe they want to start listening to music, or they want to start watching a movie, or they want to just chat with their friends or make a call. If they are making those calls, if they are chatting, if they are watching their movies, if they are listening to their music, there is no way I'll be concentrating on my table. And I cannot tell them to stop their music because it's also going to be interfering. I'm also going to be disturbing them in what they want to do. So the best thing I do is to just pack my bags, pack my books, the books that I want to read, and I go to class. I find the class more conducive for me. If you are a library person, you can go to your library to read. I don't read in the library because I find the library so quiet. I cannot read in an entirely very quiet place. If I do, in less than 30 minutes into my reading, I'm just going to sleep off. So I prefer to go to the class to read, because in class I'm going to see other people that are there, and there are also going to be some little noise. Maybe when people are trying to come in, they'll be making that little noise, and then it's going to be keeping me awake. So find a very good place where you can be reading. Make sure it is not in your room. If it is going to be in your room, make sure you're not reading on your bed. That thing does not work, except you know yourself very well and you know that you're not going to fall asleep. The second one under this first category is to have a schedule. Now I noticed that when I don't have a schedule, I find myself reading one thing over and over again. Remember, we are in med school, and in med school we have like the bulk courses, and then we have like minor courses, and anatomy and physiology is one course that never ends. If you know, you will know that even though you find yourself reading anatomy every day, you will still notice that when other people start gisting about what they've been reading in anatomy, you will notice that you yourself, that thing they're talking about, you have not read it and you've been reading every day. So I make sure that I have a reading schedule, because if I don't, I'll read anatomy today, read anatomy tomorrow, read anatomy next tomorrow, still I'll still feel like I'm not reading anything, because trust me, this anatomy is, the more you read God, I don't know anatomy is, the more you read, the more you discover that you don't know anything. Avoid spending so much time on one course and neglecting the other. I create a timetable for myself. My timetable is just around my bed area, so every time I want to read, I just look at this and I know that, oh, I'm supposed to be reading this at this point in time. So I create that scheme. I know that from this hour to this hour I'm supposed to read this, from this hour to this hour I'm supposed to read this. And if you notice that you have bulk courses that needs more attention, then you make them frequent. Like if you have 5 days in a week, you make sure that those bulky courses you offer them, like you read them like 3 times in a week, and then those little ones just put them in between. That is what I do for myself. Since I know that anatomy is so bulky, medical surgical nursing is so bulky, foundation of nursing is so bulky, I make them regularly. Like they are everywhere on my list. So the small courses, I can have them like once a week. I read them like once a week. But you see, those bulky courses, I read them like 3 times or 4 times in a week, just as the case may be. So you might want to make sure you have a very good reading schedule, so you not end up reading one thing over and over again, and then you still feel like you are still not reading that thing the way you should be reading it. That's just how it is. You're not the only one. That is how it is for everybody. Now this point is very sensitive, because when you want to find a good study partner, you must make sure that your partner is smart, your partner is knowledgeable, your partner is intelligent, your partner is a bright student, your partner loves to read. Me personally, I don't really have a study partner, but I have like 4 or 3 friends, and I make sure that all my 3 friends are intellectually capable, in a sense that if you're not smart, you must love to read. If you don't love to read, you must be intelligent. That is how my friends are. I don't know how I ended up being together with them, but that is whom I just discovered that they are. For the person, I have one that is not too smart, like she's not so intelligent, but then because she knows that she's not too intelligent, she loves to read. She's always scared to fail, so it is making her wanting to read, and there is no way she would read and she would not gain knowledge. So, and then that's that about her. And then I have another one that is such a bookworm. 247, she's always with her book. Even after she finished reading something, she will still have to go back and read it just to be sure that she's not forgetting what she has read. So I have so many smart people around me, and it makes me, when I'm with them and I hear them talking about something and I've not read about that thing, it's going to make me be like, oh my god, this person has read this thing, this person knows this thing, and I'm here whiling away my time. It will make me now go back to my book and read more and pass. I'll make sure I pass that point where she stopped, so that when next I see her, I'll intimidate her with my questions. I'll be like, do you know, or how many bones, or how many muscles, you know, those kind of things are very good. Those kind of competition or challenges are so healthy. It makes me grow, it makes them grow too. So that is that about study partner. And then once in a while, you people also set a quiz for yourself, or an exam, like a test kind of thing for yourself, so that you people get to know what part people need to ameliorate and what part people need to pay much attention to. So that is just. And then the last one but not the least is for you to condense huge material into a very short note. Make sure you are able to summarize things. When I read, before I even start reading, I have lots of flashcards. I make flashcard, little flashcard that can just help me memorize what I'm reading, because in as much as you don't want to memorize, you also need to like summarize things. So by the time I pick up my textbook, let's say I want to read about the endocrine system, and I'm reading about this whole page, what I do is that, you can see I even have some flashcard falling off from my textbook. I cannot read without a flashcard, like a piece of paper. So once I finish reading all this whole once I finish reading this whole page that I want to read, I'll make sure, and I will try to assume that I am asked to summarize this thing without missing the key points that are in this page. I try to summarize it, and while I'm summarizing it, I write it out in a sheet of paper like this. What I'm writing in this sheet of paper is what I am going to write on my exam day, because there is no way you will read this whole page and then if you want to like write an exam, you'll be asked to like bring out this whole page. No, they are only going to ask you, they're asking you the question to test your knowledge of how did you understand this thing. So remember, you're not asked to like print it word for word. You're not asked to submit word for word what is here or what was here. You are only asked to write out how you understood this page in your own way. So what I do is that after reading this thing, I write it down here And this thing here, I try to memorize this particular one. When I'm very familiar with this particular one, because it is my own words, it is not even going to be very difficult for me to like assimilate it. So I'm just going to memorize it and then I deliver it. So that is one thing I feel like everybody should do. When you're reading anything, in as much as the words are so big, or you feel like, oh, it is a very lengthy kind of thing, make sure you are able to summarize it in your own words, and make sure you learn by your own words. Make sure you're not leaving the keywords. If you leave the keywords, then you're missing out. You are missing the whole idea, or you are missing the whole fun of it. Make sure you're including the keywords, the word that your tutor, your lecturer, your teacher is going to be wanting. Include them and you're going to get your own points. I'm very good at summarizing, and sometimes when I summarize, my friends, instead of them coming back to read this whole textbook so that they'll be able to get what that textbook is talking about, they prefer to just take my summary and read, because they know that when you're reading the summary, it is as good as reading this whole thing, because this whole thing is even going to merge their brain up. So these 3 steps are what I do that makes me stand out in my school. Not in my school, that makes me stand out for myself. I know that if you do them, you're going to just be as smart, and you're going to be learning everything you need to learn. Remember, the first thing is for you to get a good study routine. Do what works for you. Don't study in bed except you can stay awake while studying. Get yourself a good partner that is intelligent, that is smart, that is competitive, that wants to know more, that is a book lover. And then make sure you're summarizing all you're learning into a very small and compact note that is actually going to have the same meaning but less words. These steps have been working for a whole lot of people. I am a very living witness and living testimony, and if you do it, make sure you do it. If you also have any other tips or tricks that you've been employing that has been working out for you, please drop them down on the comment section. You might be helping me. You are going to be helping me, a lot of students that are going to be watching this video. Thank you guys for watching. See you in my next video. Be sure to stay beautiful, and bye.